if we're in that, when we're in that low mode, we're disconnected from our heart, and our heart brings in the wisdom, it brings in the healing, it brings in the self-empowerment, it brings in the knowledge that outside that you've not gained in this reality. You come out of right and wrong, you come out of the fighting, you come out of the victimization, you come out of the disempowerment, and then you give all that, you give it all to yourself. You have that, they don't have that anymore. So you bring back that belief and trust within yourself. So they want us on the mental side, because when the mental side is disconnected from the heart, it will play the same thing over again. We will manifest the same situations over again. And they like that. So they know what's coming. They're in control. When someone's connected to their hearts, they're way more flexible. They'll change direction. They'll create something that is outside of the programming that they have had in their life, you know. So you break generational patternings in the brain. You start to change your DNA. You become more empowered in your body. You bring more light into the world, and that's why I see it's like a frequency war. Not just each individual on this planet, collectively, we vibrate at a certain frequency, and they need us in a certain range of frequency to latch on to us. Because when we go really, really high, they can't get hold of us.
Welcome to a Broaderlenspodcast. The opinions expressed on Broaderlenspodcast are those of the guest speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of the host or Broaderlenspodcast. Rebecca, welcome to Broaderlenspodcast. What an honor to have you on.
Thank you for asking me. It's been
thank you, and thank our good friend Franco for connecting us. You have a powerful story, and a lot of deep insight and wisdom through your experience. So I really appreciate you coming on. You're welcome. Maybe before we get started, you can share. I know you had an awakening when you were 27 years old. I'd love to ask you, what does it mean for you to have an awakening, and what does it mean to be asleep?
Okay. Yeah, so my awakening. Now, people can have two different types of awakening. You just wake up to the mental world, what's going on, the physical world. But for me, straight away, it was a connection to myself. So my awakening was connecting more to my heart consciousness, to me. And within that what started happening, that my heart started to teach me. I started to realize that I had a teacher in me, and that my mind was the student, and I started to learn not from my outside surroundings but from within. Like, my heart started to show me things about reality that I had no idea about. That For instance, that death is an illusion, that we live forever, and that this reality that we create around us is a temporary reality to experience oneself through. And the whole point of reality is to become aware of oneself. And but also in the awakening, when I was 27, I started to learn about darker forces out there that wanted to stop this natural growth, thriving of the human race, of Mother Earth, of this universe. And so I started to learn about the darker aspects of reality and how they've implemented into our everyday life, which is then I call the matrix, the belief structures, and how we've incorporated that for generation after generation. So it was, I went through a massive awakening, and it lasted for about 6 weeks, but it really changed my course. So I started to, I was over in abroad in Asia, and after my awakening, my whole life fell apart, and I came back home, and then I started to be interested in otherworldly things. Like, I found Dolores Cannon, and I did her course, Quantum Healing Hypnosis, and I started practicing that. But the biggest one was just I had it already. I'd learned reflexology. And with reflexology, it's the massage of the feet. But when I was giving massages, I would get psychic information, and so I would feel what was going on with them. I would see, they would show me. It was like my mind was woken up, and I was connecting to them on a not just rubbing the feet, but they were talking to me throughout the massage, and then I would share that with them afterwards. So it was um, very healing for them. Yeah, very healing.
Yeah, thank you. I want to get more in depth a little bit later with these dark forces, but
Hmm.
a quick question is, why do these dark forces want to keep us in ignorance, in conscious separation with ourselves and others?
Because it's a vibrational war. When our so we're separated. We've been separated, masculine and feminine. Now it's not just the physical body, like it's the energy we have within. So how we create reality is through two energy systems: the masculine consciousness and the feminine consciousness. The left side of the brain is feminine. And I know when everyone says, no, it's the right side, but it's the left side when I see it. And the right side of the brain is the masculine consciousness. And that's how, and when they two interact, so the left side is who we are, it's our connection to our higher self, our soul, our planet, the universe, connected to everything that is. And the right side, the masculine side, is this incredible, amazing decoder of that. And it actually places who we are in the physical reality. So without masculine energy, we wouldn't be physical here. It's
Mm.
an incredible energy. And those two combining together, obviously we create everything physical, but separating us from who we are, from the dark forces separating us, then they've got more control over us and they separate us from our hearts, and then we're only manifesting what they want through belief structures, hence religions and what they want. But when we start manifesting from ourselves, our own hearts, and start to understand why we're manifesting what we're manifesting, that we are teaching ourselves to walk to freedom, to oneself, then we start to realize that we are our own creator. We create reality. And that's what they don't want us to discover. They want us in servitude to them. They want us where we are slaves to them. So we're slaves to the belief structures that they place in our school systems, to historically, to religion. And so they can control us and manipulate us. And also, as the feeding of them, they feed off us, feed off our light.
Mm.
Um, and that has to do with their disconnection from their heart. So they become parasites, and they've parasited off us, and then they've also turned us into parasites. So it's learning that actually we have it all within. That makes sense.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you. And the Gnostic Gospels talked about the archons, and they talked about it mentions the Watchers, it mentions the demiurge, along with Islam talks about the jinn, and I've heard you mention that as well. Are
Yeah.
these them describing these other beings? Because what's fascinating about the Gnostic text is Yeshua is saying when the two become one, the male and the female energies, when we bring them into one. Or even in ancient Egypt, and I've heard you talk on Egypt, they had the Ankh representing the female and masculine energies of creation. What's your take on all that?
My research has been done through myself, like finding out. So I don't read books or I do remote views, I don't know all the names or anything, but yeah. So from my understanding, the we are one. There's many layers of consciousness, and
Mm.
when we come in, we split the masculine and the feminine, and we come here to become one within ourselves here in the physical reality. So it's joining of the masculine and the feminine, the left brain and the right brain, to create that oneness within. Um, the Watchers, they live in another universe that have completely destroyed their feminine consciousness. They don't have the feminine consciousness, and they've had to survive these. They look like, I see them. They look like you and I. They look human, but they're giants,
Mm.
and they've had to um, rely on technology um, to live, and also to invade other realities in order to siphon off female consciousness, because the female consciousness, the left side of your brain, is actually keeping your body alive. It's your vitality. It's who you are. It's your life force. You know, when you die, it's because the left side of your brain, the energy that is in there that goes up your spine, actually leaves, and then your body dies. So it keeps everything alive. It's life force, and they have very little of it. So yeah, I don't know the names. I just know that the Watchers created the reptilians from our DNA and AI, and also for the for like soldiers, for them to take over us. So yeah,
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it because even in like if you go to Egypt or ancient Sumer and Mesopotamia, you'll see the carvings of these giant beings bigger than human beings, which I find
oh
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Oh
Um,
wow. Mm.
you have a fascinating and horrific. I don't know how to describe your upbringing. You had some major challenges from the very beginning. It seems. Maybe you could share a little bit about your upbringing, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. Are you talking about the programming?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, until when I was asleep, I had no idea. I had no idea I'd been programmed at all. And it wasn't until I think I was about 32 or 33, I got my first memory back. And basically, I was a family friend whose daughter was my best friend growing up, was a Freemason. And memories started coming through of him traumatizing me.
Hmm.
And I'd have regular, like, traumatizing sessions. I'd be in a room, and they would do many things. But basically, the whole intention was to split me. Now, when a person goes through trauma, it disconnects the left side of the brain, so we can't decode ourselves. So they would, one time, my first memory actually was he was drowning me I was just a little thing, 4 or 5, and he was placed my head in a bucket of water to the point where you get me to the point where I would pass out, but and then he would bring me back up. So he didn't want to kill me, but he would get to the point where close to. And I knew when the memory came back, because it was like going through the whole experience again. Um, I knew he was trying to split me. He knew he was trying to not so he wouldn't. I'd be the person I was going to be. I knew that when I was little. So, but this programming, it went. It was ordered by. I found out through, because the memories took 8 years to come through, and I found out that it was ordered by the British royal family. The Queen was the head of it. I remember meeting the Queen um, a couple of times. Memories of meeting the Queen, Prince Philip, Jimmy Savile was involved in my programming. Um, so it was, and I come from a normal family. Do you know what I mean? I don't come from a wealthy, rich family in that community or anything like that, not even royalists or anything like that. There's nothing. So it was quite shocking um, to have these memories come back. Yeah. But it started to make sense. Because during the memories of coming back, which took years, I was getting attacked hugely by outside forces. So it was like I went through horrendous stuff as a child, uh, where they were trying to basically disconnect me from myself and traumatize me so much that I wouldn't be who I am as today. And then it was like when I connected to my heart and I started to connect to the wisdom that I carried, which we all carry, we all are all connected to that wisdom, they came after me again. So I had to, but obviously I'm an adult, so but I had to, um, yeah, I had to basically going into battle with them again.
You
Yeah.
said your mind shut down, or you remembered you had memory, your first memories when you were in your 30s, so what, 32? Do you
Hmm.
believe your mind automatically shut down from that memory of the trauma to protect yourself until you were ready to deal with it?
Yeah. 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 Totally. Because when a trauma happens, the heart leaves, so you disconnect. A small part of you disconnects, and then what happens is the mind then goes, "Oh God, this is too traumatic to for one to remember." And the mind is a protector, so it doesn't want you to disconnect even more because that's less vitality for the body. So its whole one of the big jobs for the mind is to protect the body and to get as much heart energy through. So yeah, it was, I mean, maybe on another level, it was like, right, now's the time. I've got to face this. I've got to face what's happened to me, and so I can heal from it. But also facing that, it seemed to throughout that there was a lot of battles as well. Yeah.
You have any examples of some of the psychic attacks you were experiencing?
Oh God, I sometimes I couldn't even get through a week without an attack of some sort. So psychic our mind, our mental mind. I didn't know this at the time, so now I know. But the is compartmentalized. So everything that you go through in your life, your mind remembers.
Hmm.
And when a part of your mind, your mental mind, the right side of your brain is disconnected from the heart, it's very vulnerable. So um, I dealt with a black magician, or two black magicians. And they would send one sent like a reptilian to me. So I had like an attachment, a, rep, a reptilian attachment to me. And he would talk to me, tell me I was going to die and that I was going to die that day and say goodbye to my kids. And that's really scary. Also, um, but basically, the main of of a black magician, what I started to understand through it, the one was a woman, she was able to get into my mind and go into certain areas of my mind to set off trauma reactions. That would be what she'd do. So we naturally can get triggered and people can be triggered by life and it's a natural thing. Yeah. And you have to look at yourself, go, own it. This is me. What's going on? But with this woman, she was able to get right in and set off. So it would be lots of emotion, lots of fear, lots of um but then there would be other stuff. Things would always go wrong. There was just yeah, just couldn't get through a week. I remember one time I started doing vlogs and every time I released a blog, there would be some sort of attack. So I'd write about because I the abilities that I have. I started to help people, help them. And every time I would release a blog, something would take place. But kind of like you, like a rebel, like FM. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not going to stop. And I remember sitting in the living room. It was later that day after I released a blog, and I could just feel this implant going into the back of my head. I could just feel the energy, and I'm like, oh God! And then all my energy field changed, and yeah, so it was just stuff like that, like just this intense, um, just being attacked all the time. But then I started to realize they could only attack on the frequencies that I had within inside myself. So if I think like we're a boat, and it's like we've got to make sure all the doors are closed. But as a child, because I was so abused by them, my mind just accepted that this abuse was You know, if you get beaten up, you generally go up and you'll get beaten up as an adult. You go into an abusive relationship because your mind hasn't learned that actually this is wrong, or it hasn't learned that actually you can stop this. So they can only do to you what has been done in the past, or what you accept, or what you haven't been aware of that you have the power to change. So I had to really learn my power and boundaries, and also they every attack that had happened, it would link me to the trauma, because it would always link to a trauma within myself. So I was able to locate that trauma. So they, in a way, the attacks kind of helped me heal in a really weird, screwed up way, because I learned, like, fighting all the time, I couldn't do it because I was always under attack, and that I had to look at myself and where they were attacking within my mind, within where's the disconnection? Because every disconnection we have in the brain, it makes our body and our mind weaker. And this is why illnesses happen. This is why mental health happens. Every illness, people are mentally unwell to um, yeah, every illness is because of the disconnection between the left and the right brain. And that comes from generational, like your brain just wired that way because that's how mum's brain was wired, or a trauma has occurred and you've disconnected at some point in your life from your body, and the part is to connect back up. Yeah.
You know, I love what you said, because trauma is a disconnection of self.
Hmm.
And we have to be, it puts us in a lower frequency, which makes it more accessible for us to become hijacked spiritually, having these psychic attacks and entity attachments. I see a lot of people in the addiction world. I think they all, I got to connect you with my friend Maya Zahira, because she works with people that have all these entity attachments. She's like hands on, and she talks a lot about the jinn. And she said there's not one addict she hasn't worked with that doesn't have entity attachments. And if you look at the core of addiction, there's trauma. And I feel like these elites, and I would love to ask you, who are these watchers, or who are these elites, in your opinion, through your research, in your understanding? Because it seems like they need us in survival mode. They need us in fear. They need us in disconnection with ourselves and others. Us against them mentality, in a lot of fear. And they need us to be in a groupthink setting that robs us from our authenticity. And correct me if I'm wrong, in order to easily be manipulated and controlled and taken over with entity attachments.
Yeah. Because if if we're in that when we're in that low mode, we're disconnected from our heart. And our heart brings in the wisdom, it brings in the healing, it brings in the self-empowerment, it brings in the knowledge that outside that you've not gained in this reality. You come out of right and wrong, you come out of the fighting, you come out of the victimization, you come out of the disempowerment, and then you give all that, you give it all to yourself. You have that, they don't have that anymore. So you bring back that belief and trust within yourself. So they want us on the mental side, because when the mental side is disconnected from the heart, it will play the same thing over again. We will manifest the same situations over again. And they like that. So they know what's coming. They're in control. When someone's connected to their hearts, they're way more flexible.
Mm.
They'll change direction. They'll create something that is outside of the programming that they have had in their life, you know. So you break generational patternings in the brain. You start to change your DNA. You become more empowered in your body. You bring more light into the world, and that's why see it's like a frequency war. Not just each individual on this planet, collectively we vibrate at a certain frequency, and they need us in a certain range of frequency to latch onto us, because when we
Mm.
go really, really high, they can't get hold of us. So it's like our, the food source. And it was so interesting because they brought in the political party, the Watchers. So you've got the political party, and you've always got two sides. So that you may have three or four, but the main is like two sides. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got Democrat and the Republicans. So you've got two sides. And then one side is the good side and one side is the bad side. And you see that all in the TV programs. So you've got good guy, bad guy. They brought that in. So you root for the good guy. And then, so I was doing this when it was Biden and Trump. Yeah. So I got
Yeah.
caught into it, Trump's going to save the day. And I was I really believed it. Trump's going to save the day. And that was in like saving mode. And then, Trump lost and everything like that. But what I started to learn was Trump was never going to save the day because he's part of the system. And that system, if one starts, so whatever side wins, whatever, if the consciousness starts to move away out of both of those reach, they'll work together in order to keep that energy down, to keep Earth down, to keep the collective. So one good guy, one bad guy, they're both bad. Yeah. It's like they work together in the end. That's what I saw that's what they're programmed to do. So to keep us in this state of giving our power to somebody else. Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that with me, because I feel the same exact way. I mean, I think both parties are being played by the same hidden hand,
Mm-hmm.
and to even reach that point,
Mm-hmm.
where they're at to be a candidate, you had to sell your soul already, in my opinion, and by their fruits ye shall know, as it says in the Bible, right? And they always need people on survival mode. Every few years, it's false hope, and it's like a two collective egos, unhealthy collective egos, and they need us to be us against them on survival mode in that lower frequency to fog up and control our perception.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
it's interesting, but
Yeah.
what I don't get is you get like Kennedy and those guys, and they swear they're fighting for the good, but it's pretty obvious that both parties are controlled by the same people. I'm just, it's like a game or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, they're also programmed. They're I think what's hard can be hard is that they believe what they're doing is right. Yeah,
Yeah.
they believe that. They believe, there's no bad guy believing that they're a bad guy. They really think they're a good guy. Do you know what I mean? And they believe in what they do and stuff like that. And we've believed in the system, haven't we? Completely like being fooled and think these are gonna you know, make reality better. But actually what you see is actually they take the power away. They give this illusion they've got power and they're going to change for the better, but it never happens. But there's been a massive consciousness evolution. Our parents didn't talk about this. Do you know what I mean? There's like it's people are waking up, and I mean, in my reality, I just deal with people all the time who are trying to understand themselves, to step into their empowerment, to come out of the disempowerment, to come out of the victimizations, to heal themselves. And that's got to be having a huge effect on the collective consciousness. I mean, the fact that you do this work and you speak to people, it's really positive. So, and they're not going to terrorize, their conscious revolution,
Mm.
So, um, it's from what I see on that it's the whole system is collapsing. The whole system that's been, people have lost trust in it. People don't believe them. It's and the royal families, and then it all links to the Vatican and this satanic system that has been in place and that we've been hooked into it is basically on free fall, and then it's going to wake even more people up. Yeah.
So politics and religion are some of their greatest tools to keep us divided on a lower frequency. How do you look at religion? Because religion has a pretty cool definition, religio, which means to reconnect, but it's pretty obvious for me that it disconnects us from
Disconnect.
our true self.
Yeah, it does. When I look at someone's brain and they have a religious belief, it's on their mental side, and what they're doing, the heart then service that belief. So they start to service that belief. So instead of believing in themselves and trusting themselves, they'll trust the religion that, and it suppresses evolution, because the why we're here is to believe and trust in ourselves, to get to understand that we're creating everything. So we understand each individual life is individual to them, although there's so many similarities that we go through because we have the same pool of trauma that we're all trying to shift. We've got so many similarities. We feel the same. There's the pool of feelings that we feel. But our experiences can be unique and different, and we're going through that. But if we just believe that things are going to get better and God's going to save us and everything like that, then it stops us actually learning, why did I create this? Why is this happening to me? Because it may be down to perceptions, it may be down to trauma that you're re-experiencing that needs to be healed, so you can heal your foundation of your life. It may be beliefs that you're carrying that aren't great for you. So they make massive lessons that you're having, but you're not realizing, because you think, oh, God's got a plan, or God's this, or do you know what I mean? But actually realizing
Yeah.
that you are your own creator, you are your own God, you've created this. You need to figure out why you created it. So yeah, religion. And the most amazing thing, I woke up at 27, but then I had like another awakening, and lots of veils came down, and I was able to see the satanic system. And the Satanists, they do have a god, a physical god. Yeah, so they have the Watchers, that actually is a male beings, just vibrating outside of this reality. And their satanic rituals is giving the life force, our life force, to them. They're sacrificing their life and giving it to their god. And their god is in the sky, which then allows their god to help them in their life. They get more powers, and the bodies that get downloaded information. That's where all religions come from. That's why we look up to the sky. People look up to the sky and God's in, up there, heaven's up there. But it actually we didn't look up to the sky, because we're here. We're all here. Yeah. So religion, if there was no Satanists on this planet, there was no alien influence, we wouldn't have religion, and we wouldn't have politics. It wouldn't exist, because it's who we are. We are our own creator, and Mother Earth, she's a being just like us, and so that's, we see it all around us. Yeah, planet we're on.
Yeah, why are we programmed always to have like look for a savior, whether it's in politics or it's in religion? Like we need Jesus to save us. Like
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty clear the Christ in you is your hope of glory. In you, you know, but we're looking outwardly for Jesus to do something. It's been over 2,000 years, and I was talking to a friend yesterday, actually last night, and he was saying it's been prophesied. It's the end of the world. He's coming back. I go, if you actually understand human behavior, I could prophesy something that will come true. If I actually understand human behavior, and I have 2,000 years for that behavior to come true, it's going to happen. Because if we believe at a collective level that it's going to be the end of the world, well, it's going to manifest because our thoughts create our reality, right? The power of belief. I just think we need to change the narrative. We need to look within and get rid of this mental conditioning that's causing our suffering at a collective level.
Yeah. Well, what creates the savior energy of wanting to be saved, and then having that is generally an abusive mind. So a right
Mm.
side of the mind, you're abusing yourself. So you have an abusive mind towards oneself, so you don't like yourself, you'll beat yourself up mentally, you allow things to happen to you that aren't great, and this has come from childhood. So then that creates the victim on the left side. The female comes the victim. So it's generally, this is overall this sort of common, the abuse victim. And then if you can't if your mental side, if you're beating yourself up mentally and the victim is disempowered on the left side of your consciousness, then you'll search for a savior. So that's when you need to go outside of yourself to try and get that safety, because you haven't got safety inside yourself. So that's so it's come from a abuse. It's an abusive mindset. And also a child, if you look at when we're children, we have mum and dad to, if we're lucky, we've got mum and dad, and they're there and they're gonna, they save us. But when we're
Mm.
an adult, we can't say that. you know but we still have these traumatized, because when trauma happens, it disconnects the brain, and that part of our consciousness stops growing. So if a disconnection that happens at 5 years old, we have a 5-year-old consciousness within us that hasn't grown up, that doesn't feel safe, that feels the trauma that's taking place, and that 5-year-old is looking for a protector. So this is where the disempowerment comes, the fear comes, and if the 5-year-old or the 4-year-old, or the first 7 years of life it's a really big time. Generally, when I look at people, the first 7 years is generally where the most trauma happens, and then that the trauma that happens has a huge impact on their adult life. So it's going back around that age. And it's getting that little girl, that little boy to feel safe and connected to themselves again, and realize that they're their own savior. So when someone's wanting to be saved or waiting for someone to save them, you're guaranteed they've got traumatized consciousness within them. They haven't connected to their empowerment. They haven't felt empowered. They haven't felt they're waiting for someone else to do it.
Yeah, thank you. I love how you said traumatized consciousness and save your energy. Because when I was a little boy, I can look back the first time going to church and I'm hearing that story about Jesus, watching him hanging on the cross with blood and stuff. I was confused because of me. He had to die for my sins, and that created I didn't know how to comprehend that, or that created some trauma in me, because I didn't know how to talk about it or explain that. I just felt like guilty, felt shame. I'm a sinner, fear, and that can create that can affect me later down the line. Like you said, even the Jesuit priest would say, "Give me your child for your first several years, and I'll tell you the person they'll become." It's all that mental programming that affects us later in life. So I really appreciate you explaining that and the needing of a savior.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's really, really, it's a hard one, because when you're in it and you feel the same, you want to be saved. For me anyway, it took a long time to get out of it. You know,
Yeah,
it's not like a easy process, because you have to go, um, you have to go through all the parts that have been disconnected, and but over time, you can, you can get out of it. You can realize and become more empowered, but it's yeah, that's what I see. How they've been able to manipulate us through the traumas that we have, because we don't feel empowered, or um, and part of this consciousness evolution is we're walking towards, we are our own creator. Yeah, we create everything. So then life becomes a classroom. Everything becomes a lesson, potentially a lesson. Things happen in your life, things happen in my life, and it's like, okay, what do I learn? And I learn from the crap stuff and the good stuff. What is it there to learn from here? How do I make the most of it? So instead of seeing myself as a victim to life and life's out to get me, which I did for many, many years, but scared of life, it's like, God, what now? And stuff happens. Okay, what am I? Life is here to learn, to grow. It's here to, because everything that's happened, even though horrendous stuff that it should have never happened as a child, but it did. But all the years, like the attacks that I went through, like years and years, each one helped me grow and understand myself more. And outside, no, I don't get attacked. Very rare if I do. Um, it's yeah, it's like a complete different reality. So what I was living to what I'm living today. So each difficult situation that I had was there to help me grow. Yeah. So it's kind of,
You'll, oh, I'm sorry.
sorry. Yeah. And that can be hard to see when you're feeling really disempowered and victimized. You just see like life's against me, you know. So that's like the biggest learning, like, oh my God, my reality is I'm teaching myself so much through the experiences, you know, and it's like become less frightened of reality. And then it's like, um, then life becomes more enjoyable, you know, starting to like live, you know, like it's okay to live now, you know, because you're kind of out of survival mode. And that was kind of weird. It's like, okay, I can live. And what does that actually mean? Because you're in survival mode, you just um, yeah, so it's been quite a journey. Yeah.
Paramahansa Yogananda, the great Swami that came to America, he said, nothing can touch you if you inwardly love God. But what I like about when he uses the term God, they use the term self with a capital S.
Yeah.
And I love that about the Hindu scriptures. Um, how did you eventually, you said, heal from these traumas that you were experiencing early on?
Hear from the heal from the mind control. Well, the traumas would come up and I would get triggered, and I learned that the emotions that would come up wouldn't, you know, I'd get triggered by everyday stuff. Something would happen, and then this like emotion would come up, and it would be so strong. And I started to realize that the really, really strong, intense emotions weren't because of the now. They followed. There was because of something else. So it was like the question was, when did I first feel that? And then and then I would go into the memory would come back, the to release the emotion, the protection that I had around it, which may be a perception or a behavior that I would have. And so, but I allowed life to trigger me, and it did. And so it was kind of surrendering to my emotions and being quite fearless, because your brain is designed to not go into dangerous situations. It's like, no, we're not going there again. You know, it's like, so it felt you know, it's like a feeling of unnatural. Like, I'm not supposed to go there. This is not a good thing. Healing is not fun. It's not fun at all. But when I started to realize there was this uh, started to like understand shit was really done to me as a child. Do you know what I mean? And wanting to understand, like wanting to understand why was this done, and what did they do, and who, and all these things. It was like my life was a jigsaw puzzle, and I really wanted to understand. Um, and so that drive in me to understand myself, and that's kind of why we're here. We're here to understand who we are, you know, become aware of who we are. But that big drive in me was really strong. But I allowed it to happen because I realised if I tried to look for myself, it would get in a mess. But it came up at the right time. That, you know, when they did come up. So it's like just becoming aware of yourself, aware of the emotions. So I just became aware of strong emotions within me, because if they were really strong, then it wasn't just of the now. There was something else going on that I needed to look at.
Yeah, for
Mm.
me, awareness is everything. Once I become more aware of my emotional reactions, or my behaviors and stuff, uh, the less power it has over me because I start to question and have understanding. And when you go from being it to seeing it, change becomes possible. Um, I love what you said earlier. You talked about victimhood, and it seems like the mind automatically wants to go into victim mode. And I always say I spoke victimese for a very long time. And I think spirituality is taking responsibility for your own life, your own thoughts, your own actions. What's the difference between religion and spirituality for you, or are they the same thing?
No, yeah, completely. Religion is religion came about because if you didn't believe in something outside of yourself, your life was in danger. You know, religion splits the brain. Spirituality is, as just I totally agree with you. It's awareness of self, it's understanding who you are, it's taking responsibility. And that is like connecting to your heart, because you're not just, your heart is connected to everything, the planet you're on, the people, everybody here. It's and also it's connected to your self-worth, your understanding everyone's here for a reason, everyone's important, everyone is needed and wanted here. And so you have a path of your life, a life path. So
Mm.
it's like understanding that life path and walking it, and that's the responsibility. So, and that maybe that's the struggle for the brain. It's like, oh my god, I don't. This is a bit scary, but yeah, it's exactly the same. I see it exactly the same as you.
What would you say is our true essence? Because I love what you said. You had like myself. I had my own experience where I realized death is an illusion. What is our
Mhm.
true essence, and what happens? Do we really die?
No, no, we don't die. The identity that we have here, I mean, we keep that. So but it's in our soul. So we have a soul, and when I go into the soul, there's lots of lives that we've lived that are there. But there's many layers to us that's in the soul. Um, the physical lives are there. To At the core of us is this like brilliant light. Um, it's like oneness. There's no masculine, there's no feminine, it's just energy. There's no need,
Mm.
there's no want, there's no desire. It's just peace, peacefulness, beauty, and all that. Everybody's there. Everyone has this within them. The planet has it. You have it. I have it. Everybody has this energy. We have become disconnected from it, and everybody. So the healing that people are doing, you're not just healing, connecting with yourself, but your heart. As you go on, you're connecting back to this energy, and that is the that all the physical realities could go away tomorrow, but that consciousness never does. You know, this world could go up tomorrow, but we're that this world is more of an illusion than the other world, the non-physical world. So this could go tomorrow, would still be here, but would be non-physical. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. What's your take on reincarnation? I heard you share a little bit on reincarnation or living many lives at one time.
Mm. Yeah.
Um,
So when I look at people, They've had they generally have many lives that they lived, and I can pop in and look at the lives that they've lived. So that's quite cool. People love that. And people can be living simultaneous lives,
mm,
in different universes and different, not just human beings, all different types of beings. Um, but the soul is incredible. Things have to be separated, like so it doesn't interfere and doesn't interfere with the life here. So yeah, so people were like, "Why would you come back to Earth? This is so difficult." But it's from you're coming from an earthly perspective. Like when you're up there and you're outside of the physical reality, outside of your mental beliefs and your traumas or your perceptions that keep you down, um, and you see Earth in a very different way. It's like you've got this. I did an amazing journey. It was a beautiful journey, about coming to Earth, and it's like Earth itself has got traumas that people are trying to get rid of, and you're giving basically an assignment from the universe. So Gaia and all the planets, it's like, okay, well, this is what's needed from the collective. The collective have asked for this, so you're giving different, like an assignment, and then you have your own, what you want to learn and grow. So every challenge that you have is not just helping you, but it's helping the whole of the universe. So it's like you get this ticket and you're like, oh my God. It's like a computer game, right? I've got these challenges I've got to do, and I'm going to completely forget who I am, and but I've got to learn who I am along the way and complete these challenges, and also heal and do all those things. But once the healing's done, um, well, you can do it through the healing. More fun and understanding of who we are comes through. But yeah, the reincarnation, and also I can speak to people and I'll talk about a life that they've had, and there can be so much emotion that comes up in them, even though they don't have the physical memory of that life. But what happens emotionally in a previous life, it's like we bring it with us to heal it, to understand it again. So we recreate the situations, the emotional situations, in order to heal. So it's like a continuation.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love that. And you do remote viewing, which was always been an interesting topic for me because when I had my awakening, I found out about Engle Swan, who was a remote viewer, and Pat Price, and so on. They were into remote viewing, and I don't know how that came my way, but I don't know how to do remote viewing. I just find it interesting. Maybe you can share with us what remote viewing is and what does it mean to remote view a person? Is that the same as channeling?
No, no. Um, no, like, so um, well, I started to learn through the attacks I was having, and going for help and people couldn't help me, or I started to learn that my heart consciousness could travel and I
Mm.
could see, and that gave me a huge amount of uh, knowledge to go and understand what was going on. So I was being attacked by angels. Well, not the angels itself, but demons. So I started to believe in angels. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I could feel the angels around me, and I could feel, but this opened the door to demonic energies. And I realized that the angels and the demons were working together in order to create that. They work together, just like the political parties, the good side, the bad side. So the angels and demons are just a replica of the political parties that we have around the world, good side, bad side. It comes from the same satanic system. And I didn't know this at the time. I started to believe in angels. And I was like, became like, start giving out angel books, and I talk about angels and to my clients and stuff. I was, and anyway, I started getting really bad attacks, to emotional attacks, to just horrendous energetic attacks on me and the whole family. And then um, and physical things would happen, you know. Cars would break down. My pet got became back, and we had an enclosed garden. My cat, which was my first baby, because I used to do like have friends over, and we would like meditate and connect and um, sort of connect higher, and it was like the angels were there. But every time we would come to like a Friday night to do this, the demonic beings would come as well. And it wasn't just me getting attacked; it was everybody that would come. So the group fell apart, and yeah, and it was like, what the hell is going on? And I remember just closing my eyes and relaxing, and then just allowing my heart to show me what was going on. And I saw the two fractions and saw actually my belief of the angels were bringing in these, and that they both work together just like the political parties. So anyway, so I started to realize that my heart was a traveler. It can travel anywhere. It can go anywhere. And I can look at people. So, and that's what I do for a living now. I help people. I look at their brains and see the traumas and the perceptions, but I can also see them on the physical level. So, I could see, what's going on in your brain on the physical level, but I also see higher up. So your soul to your higher self so I can see the intentions, the traumas, the perceptions, any difficulty basically that a person's going through that they want help with. I kind of just have a look and see actually what's going on, some more clarity. And then I started to people to start to ask questions about things. Well, it came from a partner actually, because he would like get me to be like a sniffer dog, like, oh, what's going on here politically, or what's going on here, ETs and stuff like that. So I just started to practice. I've been doing it nearly daily, for years, and it's practice. You say you can't remote view, you can remote view. Everyone can, because it's your heart consciousness, and your heart consciousness connected to everything that is. So your brain just needs to decode where your heart is taking you, because your heart's the teacher. So it's like it's it's training the brain to decode what's already there because you're connected to everything. So everything is open. You can look at everything. I mean, people can get pissed off when you look. I was looking at the UK Prime Minister not that long ago and realised that this wasn't a man. This was a reptilian, a very, very old reptilian, hundreds of years old. And not long later, I was about a couple of hours later, I was like in the kitchen with my partner. I'm sitting down having some food, and I felt all this energy, like someone had come into my field. And then I was like, oh, and I didn't really pay enough attention at that time. And then I went and sat down in the next room, and then I felt it, and someone was remote viewing me. And it was two men, and they were from the Scotland Yard, and they were like, "Who's this woman?" But because I caught them, it failed. The system failed. They like abort. Do you know what I mean? So that was yeah. So they use it. They use it for the bad. Do you know what I mean? They use it to so and you can learn this. I teach people this. I'll teach you, Boo Boo, how to do this.
That would be awesome. I'm afraid of you looking at me right now. I'm like, don't look at me. I want you to see something.
I would.
Well, Pat Price, he was so good at this. He got murdered.
Oh
And they were
wow.
using him for a while. But he was so good, he was a threat. And they murdered. Someone found him dead in Las Vegas, in Nevada area, in his hotel. Engle Swan was a guy who first talked about that dark side of the moon because he remote viewed that, and they'd seen him. That these other beings knew he was there, and he freaked out and he left. Um, yeah, Engle Swan. I think he died in 2008. But yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I'd love to learn. I've always been looking. I've been looking for some. I've been going to these conferences and stuff for a number of years now, asking, "Oh, you know how to do remote viewing? Teach me." Like I just want to learn. It's pretty interesting to me. So they have a documentary called Third Eye Spy. It's all about remote viewing. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's actually pretty good. You should check that one out. And it shows the life of Pat Price, Russell Targ, and Ingo Swan. And yeah, yeah, they were like the godfather of remote viewing in America, basically. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very interesting, huh? What's interesting is my friend Maya talks about false light entities, and she says most people that are channeling stuff that are coming in as angels are really false light entities, which is kind of scary. Um, and she has a lot of experience with helping people with all these entity attachments. She talks a lot about the jinn. So I don't know, just something I got to stay open to and be aware of. She talks about people that have like these councils of whatever 10 or whatever. They could be false light entities, majority of them. So you got to be careful with what you're channeling. Because they'll
Yeah.
give you some good information, but part of it but they could be false light. They're manipulating you. So it's just kind of
Yeah.
scary to think about.
That's um that's the thing. It's part of the same programming that we have put trust in people, ETs, religious figures, to give us what's going on in our planet that we're manifesting. So that is to trust yourself. So, like in the Arvi, it's like you rely on your own energy. You don't rely on outside of your energy. You rely on yourself, and that's because you will get like. And I had to learn this, because I was relying on them, not relying, but when I was I had my psychic abilities through, and that changes, it goes deeper. The more you understand yourself, the more you start to see. So at that time, I was doing reflexology and I was doing psychic stuff came through. And then I was like, I was getting attacked so much. And I was like, oh, I read this book about angels. And then it was like I gave my power to the angels. And the angels started to make me believe that they were giving me the messages, that psychic, it was coming from them and the healing was coming from them. And everything like that. And that was comfortable for me to believe because my traumatized little girl inside was like, I really want to be looked after, I really want someone to save me. And so you kind of give that power away, your power to someone else. So these people that channel and they're channeling energy, you are open to manipulation. Yes, I totally agree. So it's why are you doing that? Why aren't you relying on yourself? Because you yourself, your consciousness is connected to everything that is anyway. You don't need to go out of anywhere. You can gain that information from yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. I heard you talk about transhumanism, and then you brought up
Oh, God, you
Elon
have done
Musk.
your research.
Yeah.
You're such a
And
genius. You've been
what's
watching my
interesting?
YouTube channel.
What's that? Yeah, I love your channel. If
Oh,
anybody hasn't found her channel, I'll put her link at the when we upload this video because I think it's a beautiful channel. Thank you
oh,
for your
thank you.
work, and I'd love for you to touch on Elon Musk because he would warn us about AI early on, but he's actually creating it, which never kind of always
Yeah.
confused me. What's your take on him?
Well, when I first looked at him, I don't know why I looked at him, but I first looked at him and I felt incredible compassion for him because I saw that he'd been attacked a lot by ETs as a child and the splitting of the brain and that he had technology. So he was kind of like chosen. It just seemed like he was chosen by ETs. And then but then as I look at him today, he's kind of like an android. He's so disconnected. He's like living off AI. And obviously he's gonna be, yeah, I see him behind everything. So they're like the system, you've got the satanic system, but when the satanic system's down, the AI system is, and he's behind everything. So fingers in all pies. But what I see of him is that he's an addict, an AI addict. They've become addicted to it.
Workaholic?
'Cause yeah. Well, I don't know. No. So it's like they inject AI into them, and what it does, our mental brain, the masculine side, it needs information to decode, and because it's designed to decode what's going on in reality, but also our heart, our emotional side. So when it's not decoding the heart, it needs a source of it needs a source of energy to live on. And it's like he's found out or discovered like AI. So he lives on AI. He has to see it like an injection. He places AI into him. And this gets his mental brain to work and function. And he's connected to a ship, a massive ship outside of this huge ship, this AI ship. So he's this brilliant mind that appears to have is not actually that brilliant. It's a computer. So he's not the man that he's portraying to be, and he's like the savior, working into the savior programming. But he the world that ship, and he's just a sort of what a person, he's like you've got the elite, and behind them you've got basically the reptilians, and behind them you've got the watchers, and there's probably other things in the way of that. But Elon Musk, he hasn't got that. He's got a ship. He's got AI, and there's no there's no heart. There's nothing, and it's just like complete control take over. So this man is heartless. He's another, yeah, horrible, horrible, horrible.
Have you ever thought about remote viewing the ship he's being controlled by?
Yeah, I have. I have. There's nobody in the ship. There's no beings in it. But I don't know. I can't remember going in depth. I think it was quite a while back.
It's like a computer.
It's just like a massive computer. Yeah, there's no beings in it. So I think I've done a Q&A because I do a question and answer session every couple of weeks on Patreon. I've got a site on Patreon. People come and ask questions, and I think I've looked on it on that. And that AI ship, it was like something. Now I can remember rightly. They can they've got like it's a plan. It's planned out of what's going to happen and what they're going to do to the human race. But we are far more intelligent than the AI. Our consciousness is aware of this on a higher level, what's going on Earth, and realize that. So it's like we we naturally go outside of the AI influence on it. So the downfall. I don't. I'll have to. there's two realities taking place at the moment. Like I see like two circuit boards. So you've got the one reality where people are wanting to understand themselves, who become aware, who want to take responsibility for themselves, for their life, for their creation. You've got that, and they're on a frequency range, and everyone's connected up to that. So we'll be connected up to that, and your listeners will be connected up to that, yeah, because they want that. And then you've got the other side that don't want that, the sleep people, and then the politics and all that. So it's like two realities taking place. And the more that we become higher in frequency, they've got less control over us. I remember doing a remote view on, I'm talking to, it was a reptilian, and he's like, we can't control the people anymore. They don't listen to us. They're not scared like they used to. They're doing what they want to do. They're creating what we've lost control over them. We've lost control over Gaia. And it was like, um, the fear that they portray onto us or try to portray onto us, it's their fear because it's their demise. They're the parasites. So they're gonna, and it seems like the AI, Elon Musk and the AI ship and all, I saw massive works in Hollywood and business where they take these people and go, the world's going to die, right? So that the population is going to die. This is what they tell these elites, other people, and the only way to survive is to take AI. So they start the transhumanism in them. So they start paying, and it's a bit like what's that religion? That psychology, Scientology.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So they get all these rich people, the Hollywood people, and and this is what's going to happen. So that's what's happening at the top of the elite that I can understand, and then they get hooked on, and then they come out. And what these AI things do, it connects the brain, and they become like they talk naturally. Our mental side is like it's like a mathematical genius. It works on maths, and it starts creating, so the brain starts decoding itself, the mental side, the masculine starts decoding the masculine side. So it sounds like they get really intelligent, but they're not. They're getting disconnected from actually humanity, from the collective, um, and they stay on the mental side. They just work on that side. So when I look at Elon Musk now, I just see like uh, he's a non-human. All his consciousness is like his heart consciousness is not connected, and where he wants to take us is that transhumanism, and that's happening at the elite level at the moment, and that they'll filter that down. And this is where the sex thing comes in as well. Why they're pushing um, transsexuals and stuff like that, because they know the operations are going to screw up and they're not going to work, and then it's going to be like, well, you can have your own. Design your own, or you could be downloaded into the body that you were meant to be born in, you know and it's like it's really screwed up, like what they've got planned.
Mm.
But there's going to be something's going to happen, like I just see huge light, like from us, like the planet, everything, and the light is like this splitting, like the new. So Earth, the planet we're on, and what's been happening. Not we've been waking up, but the only reason we're waking up is because the planet's waking up, and the planet is a female planet, Mother Earth, Gaia, and she's been waking up, and we've like, right, we're going to come on this journey, and just like a household. So in a household, you've got the mother, and she sets the frequency of that household. So all the children will only go to the frequency of the mother. So if you've got a depressed mum, you're only going to go to that level. If you've got a really happy mum, high, you'll go to that level. So children will stay in the frequency of their mother, because they need to be seen, and we need to be seen and heard and loved. And so we stay in the same frequency of our mother. And planet Earth, she's been rising in frequency since the 50s. And that's why the awakening's happening, because we're following the planet that we're on. And I just see a massive, so what I see is like there's been a split. So you've got the dark stuff, the AI, the satanic system, everything like that. But then you've got the new energy that's coming in, the new earth that's coming in, that's coming through people. We're the energies that bring that in. We're the, it's not just the plants and the trees and the animals, it's us. We are the portals for that. And that's why it's so valuable to heal and to understand ourselves, because we bring more light to ourselves, and we share that gets projected out into this reality. So there's two worlds. So people have come to me and very frightened about what's going on, like, oh my god, um like, and that. So but when I look, I don't have the fear, because I believe in consciousness, I believe in us, I believe in the planet, and that we're going on this evolution, and that reality, the old world, is dying. It's going to play out and it's going to die, or we wouldn't be evolving. Do you know what I mean? We're just like we wouldn't be waking up and becoming aware. It would just wouldn't be happening.
And that's how I feel. The old paradigm's dying. The old collective consciousness is dying. It's not that the whole world's physically going to blow up. I think, and that's possible. I think, but we're having a whole shift in consciousness as a collective, and that's what's going to emerge for me.
Yeah.
And I since my awakening, I have like a lot of intuition these days. Like I know stuff, like I could sense things very easily. Um, so I don't know how to remote view and all that stuff. I would love to learn from you, but I do. I intuition is pretty strong in me, and authenticity I've gained through my awakening, which I feel is the real minority in today's world, is authenticity, not skin color. But yeah, I love how you talk on all this. I can't wait to rewatch this because I'm going to learn a lot. You have a lot of good
You-
stuff you're saying, so I really appreciate it.
Oh, no. Thanks for
um,
having me.
thank you, and I want to ask you a couple quick questions before we go. What's the purpose of life?
To become aware of self, to learn, and to walk back home within yourself. So it's understand the challenges, to aware that you are the teacher, you are the student, you are the creator, and to become aware of that, to heal what was broken when you were a child, to heal that, you are the healer. And ultimately also you're bringing back the joy to living, to actually live and come out of survival. So there's, yeah.
What's your definition or understanding on what people call God or Source?
My definition of God or source. Well, God, so it's the religion. God is a creator. I would say we relate it to creator, and we are our own creator. We create our reality. So oneself is God, and the planet we're on is also a god, because she creates the plants and the trees and the ground, and the universe. So there's many gods. Each individual is their god, and then the universe, and so, but we're all connected to a oneness, um, a source of that energy, and yeah, and that's light. I don't know, light, peace, content, beauty, um, and yeah.
You know, many Christians often forget that Jesus said, "Ye are gods."
Ah, I
Yeah,
didn't know
so I always
that.
find that fascinating. I bring that up to a friend that's a Christian, and we're talking, having a discussion. He's, "Where would he say that at?" I go, "You should be telling me that. You're the
Yeah.
Christian." Um, yeah, it was during his crucifixion. They were asking him some questions, and he said, "Ye are gods." I don't know. I don't read the Bible, but it's just the scriptures. Some of the scriptures came to me that I needed to know without searching for them, and that was one of them.
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah.
If you can give your the younger Rebecca some advice, your inner child, what would you tell her?
Oh, what would I tell her as a younger Becca advice? Um, um, everything would, everything's going to make sense. one day, the bigger picture, the understandings, but keep asking questions, don't stop, always be in a state of learning, and take every opportunity to have fun.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Your book, One Set of Footprints.
Hmm.
Would you like to share anything about your new book, and
Yeah.
share your links and how to find you as well?
Yeah. So I completed a book. I did a book. I had this pressure on me from myself to get this book on paper. So it was basically about my journey, really from the age of 27, going through just, yeah, my life from then, like 40 odd. Um, and it basically my awakening to the realizing the programming, to the different types of attacks that I've had, to the learning of reason I was attacked was because I come to learn about consciousness, about the left brain, the right brain, the feminine, the masculine, to learn about how consciousness works, how healing, especially healing the body, and becoming aware of self, and then realizing that, you know, our reality has been hijacked, but we're going back to how it was. So it was my journey, and in my healing processes, and my battles through that, and how that was, the British royal family was connected to that, and how I came out of the battle and the survival, and into living again. So yeah, so I completed the book. It's called One Set of Footprints, and I called it One Set of Footprints because I'll just tell you this little bit. I was going through a tricky time, and my basically a woman that I thought was a healer, she portrayed herself as a healer, started to energetically, it just felt really wrong. And the day before, she, my mum, I was at my mum's, and she said, Becky, I came into the living room. She goes, Becky, I just had this vision. And she said, I saw you opening like a door and all these presents falling on top of you. And I was like, oh, and she said, yeah, she said, you've got this journey to do. You've got this journey. She said, it's only one set of footprints, only you can do it. And everyone's life, we can only do our own life. But she said, you're going to be given everything that you need. Everything that you need will be given, so it help you do this journey. And I was like, oh, wonder what that's all about. And then the attack started. So this black magician lady, she started to attack. She attacked me. And then the from the attacks, though, the light came in. So my heart opened, all this light came, and I realized I was connected to everything that is, to the planet, to Mother Earth, to everything. And then I was able to see so much, able to see what builds reality, the physical reality. So I started to learn so much, and that's why I was attacked so much as a child, because I was going to learn and I was going to teach, and that's what I do today. I learn and teach.
So you
Yeah.
awaken to Namaste consciousness.
Sorry, what's that name?
So you awaken to Namaste consciousness.
Ah, I haven't heard that
Namaste.
name. Yeah.
You know what Namaste means, right?
No, no, I
And
don't.
The Hindus have a famous saying, Namaste. I always
Oh,
joke around and say,
namaste.
yeah,
When they do, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Namaste consciousness.
Oh,
So do you believe in soul contracts?
no, I believe that if people believe in them, they'll believe in them. Do you know? I do. People believe at what, but I don't. But I do. Well, I saw said that we come here with specific tasks that we want to do and achieve. We do that, like, you know, you kind of know what you're going to come into because you carry a lot of the trauma in your heritage, so it's comes from parents, and they've carried it and they've done their best, and it's kind of like a relay race, yeah. So it's like,
Mm,
okay, I've healed as much as I can. Here's the baton. You do the best that you can. Um, but yeah, so you kind of know what's gonna occur, and it's amazing, absolutely incredible when I look at people, and they basically recreate the trauma that they had as a child, the same feelings and everything like that. They recreate that to heal that little boy or little girl within them.
mm,
So it's you kind of, yeah, the first 7 years of life, you kind of, whatever happens there, if it's not dealt with, which we don't deal with things when we're a child, you're gonna come again as an adult. If you choose that, if you choose to see it that way, you got opportunity to learn and grow. Yeah.
yeah, thank you for coming on. I'm going to end it with a hero of mine, and I hear he was a great influence in your life as well, David Icke. Some of
Oh
his
yes,
work.
yeah. I do love
And he
that
said,
man.
and he said, if you look at the way society is structured, it is structured to keep people overwhelmingly in a state of fear and always trying to survive in terms of physically, in terms of terror, in terms of financially, the credit crunch, rising food prices, survive, survive, survive. Thanks for helping shed light on this topic on survival mode and how we can easily be influenced and manipulated. So I think awareness is everything. It's like the sunlight. So I appreciate you coming on. I really
Oh
do.
no, thank you for asking. Yeah, it's been great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Namastizzle. Just no way out here. No way out here working in a major way. Had to speak on it just to make a play. Any given subject, no we make a way. Time to level up on the day to day. No we out here working for the greater good. Expand your mind, broaden your lens the way you should. From the stars to the galaxy to speak on spirituality. Higher understanding for the neighborhood.